Hey guys, and happy Monday. This is me, Tara Swiger, and this is my weekly vlog. This week, you're actually not seeing video clips of my last week. Instead, you are seeing a video I recorded back when we first started taking the foster care classes. So this is the first video I ever recorded after coming out of the foster care classes. So this is about 6 weeks ago. Um, and I had a lot of thoughts. Now, I might have said some of this since then in my public announcement. I'm not really sure. But my kind of insight and perspective on foster care has definitely changed as I've gone through the classes. Here is the video I recorded after my first class. I wanted to talk a little bit about today about my experience from the first 2 weeks of our PATH classes. So PATH stands for Parents as Tender Healers. It's the classes that you take through the Department of Children's Services, which I'm just going to call DCS. There's a lot of abbreviations in this whole process. So DCS is Department of Children's Services. They're the people who actually do the foster care in Tennessee. I'm recording this on May 17th, which is probably a good time before you're watching it, because I wanted to record things while I'm remembering them already. Only after 2 weeks, I feel like I've had a million emotions, or I've learned a million things, and I've read a million books, and all of that. So first of all, last week was week 1 of the PATH classes. I think I'll do a video in the future about kind of what came before the PATH classes, but like what made us decide, but let's talk about week 1. So week 1, orientation, you get the big binder. This, home study forms. So let's back up. Home study refers to the entire process of getting licensed. A home visit is when they actually come to your home, but the home study is all of this workbook filled with forms to answer and other documentation you need to gather and put into it. All of that in one place. That's your home study. It's this binder. So the process is like, first we take the 6 weeks of classes. In week 2, we put in our application for home visits. A home study writer, a person who will write the final home study and report on us, has to basically be scheduled from an outside organization to come to our house to do a home visit, plus 3 to 4 meetings with us to talk to us. And what the trainer said in the PATH classes is that if we have finished all of these forms, then basically the home study process goes a lot easier, because the writer will just ask us more questions, but all of the basics will be covered. A lot of people don't start gathering the information until the home study process starts, and then sometimes you're waiting to get like physicals or fingerprinting or find your birth certificates or whatever. And so all of that can be gathered before the actual person starts working with us. Does that make sense? So that's the first thing we learned in orientation. That's pretty straightforward. Basically, we have a lot of paperwork to do. And so I feel like I should show you what that lot of paperwork involves. First of all, the classes have, this binder has everything we need for the finished thing, but then the classes have homework, these little like packets actually. So these packets cover the notes that she covers in that week's lesson. So each week has one of these, plus they have a homework packet with more reading and questions to answer. And each week we turn in our homework. The next week she, and I believe those returned to us will then go in the home study binder as well. So the home study will have proof that we did each week's work, signed off by the trainer. The trainer does an interview with us. Then we do our actual home study meetings with the home study writer. She does at least one home visit. And there's a ton of stuff we have to do for the house. So in this binder is a list of things you have to do for the house. We have to get a landline. We have to have a landline so we can call 911. We have to have, copies of lots of stuff, but also your home has to be child-proofed based on the age of kids you want to get. You need a bed, you need a crib, you need a netting around a trampoline, a fence around a pool. We don't have either of those issues. A working landline or phone. All of your medications and all of your cleaning supplies, even the ones you use every day, have to be in a locked box. A locked box. All of your medications, all your pets' medications, including Tylenol, literally everything. So Jay worked with for a couple years mentally disabled adults, and so he would work. His first job was actually in the home setting, these independent living homes that the agency would rent, and mentally disabled adults would live in it full time, and they would have basically workers come into the home all the time, 24/7. There was somebody working there, and so those homes had all of their medication locked in the lockbox and all their cleaning supplies. So to Jay, it's no big deal, which I'm glad about. I'm also really glad that we have replaced tons of our toxic stuff with doTERRA non-toxic products already. So I'm not sure if our doTERRA cleaner will have to be in a lockbox, but if it is, what's awesome is that we have just kind of one cleaner, like the cleaner concentrate we use for everything. And as we've used up the other stuff, we've thrown it away. But this includes like your dishwashing pods. And of course, if you have Tide pods, which we don't have because I use the doTERRA laundry detergent, all that has to be locked up. Every floor, and this we don't have, we live in a rental and we're going to need to get it, smoke detector, a carbon monoxide detector, and a fire extinguisher. We only have a smoke detector, which I think we took the batteries out of. So I said cleaning supplies must be locked with a key lock. Oh, and of course if you have guns, your guns and your ammunition have to be separate and they have to be locked up. This is Tennessee, so almost everyone in our PAC classes has guns and ammunition. Not us, but and everybody has concealed carry permits. So there were a lot of questions during orientation. Can you carry your concealed carry when you have foster kids? And the answer is you can. So I have thoughts about that, but that's orientation. Oh, the binder. So that's just the list. Here's our welcome packet for this week too. It's super thick. Last paper. The binder has a place for you to put your background check and all of that information. So we've already gone and been fingerprinted. You have to do it like a FedEx office or a UPS office. They have like a fingerprinting setup. And then there's lots of information for us to fill out. I'm trying to think about how to show it to you. So we don't have any info in it yet, which is why I'm showing you now, because once it has our writing in it, like I'm not going to be showing you all of our details. So we fill out an application, which actually we filled this out and we gave it to her. This says, you know, we want to have somebody come in home study. I don't really think we need it in here. A disclosure acknowledgement, which we turned in, which is DCS can have all of our background info and our medical records, or some of them. And then there's a safety checklist. This is a checklist of everything we have to have in our house. The person, when they come, will say that we did it. So let me tell you some of the things that your home has to have before you can become a foster parent. Which, by the way, anyone can become a foster parent. There's you need to have enough money that you can pay all of your bills, and you need to have a car and car insurance, at least in the state of Tennessee. You can be single, married, in a domestic partnership. You can be in any kind of living situation as long as you have designated spaces for informal living, dining, food preparation, and storage, separate rooms for sleeping and bathing. You need a stable supply of heat. You need garbage and waste disposed of in a way that does not constitute a health hazard. You need mirrors and other wall attachments securely attached. So like your TV has to have a secure attachment. Your mirrors, I don't think we have any hanging mirrors. We do in the bedroom. We might have to more securely attach that. Your electrical outlets have to be covered. Your appliance and cords need to be out of a young child's reach. Your maximum temperature of hot water in bathroom isn't too hot. Your extension cords are in good repair. Your steps are in good repair. Matches and light, like things that catch fire, are not accessible. Cleaning materials are stored and locked. Knives, scissors, and other sharp instruments are kept out of reach. Cords, blinds are kept out of reach. Unused refrigerators, freezers, and stoves are stored with their doors removed, so that your kid can't be stuck in a fridge. Adequate pest control. You need to have a television. Then there's like stuff about your telephone line, fire safety, smoke detectors, flashlights, fire extinguishers, sleeping arrangements. You have to have a bed for every kid you get licensed to keep, or to have. So like you get your license, it's like you're licensed by the state and you get it for a specific number of kids. You can't have more than the number of kids you're licensed for, and you have to have a bed for each child, obviously. And the like kids over 5 of different genders can't share a room, so you have to have a different room for each gender if you're going to do kids over 5. A couple things like that. You gotta have clothing storage, you gotta have enough sheets for all the beds, your weapons have to be stored, your medicines have to be stored, your pets have to be inoculated, and the shops are up to date. That's some of the documents we have to do. Automobiles are in safe operating condition, and so that's like the checklist. Then you have to have a disaster plan where you're all gonna meet in case of a disaster, and who are you gonna contact. You have to have a contingency plan. If you're in the hospital or you're in a car wreck or you're just incapacitated for a minute, who's going to take care of your kid? Then a medical report, another medical report, privacy, you sign away privacy, HIPAA, oh right, then you sign an oath to abide, you fill out some, oh, and then this is the interesting thing. So this is the foster family strengths and needs. So you're going to fill out who are you looking for in a foster placement. So infants, toddlers, middle childhood, which is like 6 to 12, or teenagers. How interested, and you mark how interested you are in kids at different ages, if they don't speak English, if they're gender non-conforming, if they're homosexual, if they require a stay-at-home parent, so some medically fragile children need someone to be with them all the time. Are you interested in somebody from a sibling group? Medically needy, mental health services, bedwetting, involuntary defecation or urination, special diets. Basically, you mark from 0 to 3 how willing you are to take care of a child with frequent temper tantrums, impulsivity or hyperactivity, psychosis, school difficulties, emotional control, stool smearing, oppositional, attachment, poor social skills, and then risk behaviors. And then, like, you can also mark, there's also a whole list for activities or interests. So are they into active sports? Are they into listening to music? Are they playing a musical interest? Obviously, our interest level on all of those are, like, super high. Whatever they're into, we're into. Drawing, minimal physical activities, being around pets, like, would be fabulous for us. Watching TV, yes. Sewing or knitting's on the list, 4 out of 4. So that is then what your caseworker or a caseworker who removes a child from a home or is going to look at to see if they should call you about a child. Now, in reality, what everyone says is that they call you about kids that are way outside your range. So you might say you aren't able to take care of medically fragile children, they still might call you for medically fragile children. You might say that you're interested only in teenagers, they still might call you about babies, vice versa. Teenagers are actually way harder to place than babies, so everybody gets phone calls about teenagers, whether or not you feel your family can parent those children. And this checklist isn't like, what are you willing to do? No, it's not what do you want. You're not getting to pick what you get. What you're saying is, who do you feel like you'd be capable of parenting? And it's a serious decision because kids in foster care can be in foster care for anywhere from 3 days to their parents' rights can be terminated and they will be open for adoption. And their rights to adopt them go first to the foster parent they've been living with. Our goal is adoption through foster care, and so we want to make sure that we are not saying that we'll parent someone that we actually don't feel like we'd be able to continue parenting for years and years and years. So it's really important. Even some people sign up specifically due to emergency foster care, like the minute the kid is removed from the house, they can be placed with these families. Even they want to think about what's their job situation, what's their working situation, what's their comfort level, what do they know about, like if you're a nurse, you might, it might be perfectly fine for you to take in medically fragile children. If you're not, like you just have to decide what you are capable of. And there's no guilt or shame about any level of child that you feel like you're able to parent. It's hard when you look at the list to think about the kids that are going to fall outside of your capabilities, because they need parents too. So that's the binder. The binder has then You have to put your physical information. You usually put W-2 and pay stubs, but we don't have those. So we'll put our taxes from the past couple years to show that we can pay all of our bills. You also fill out a whole form about what all of your monthly bills are, because what they want to see is that you make enough to cover all your monthly bills. So that you can afford to do this. You also have to include, then there's a miscellaneous section for your family photograph, a photo of the exterior of your home, and then a questionnaire, and then all of your path homework that I mentioned, and a floor plan of your family. This video is going longer than I thought. I should have just done a video on the binder. We'll make this video just about the binder. So then there's a questionnaire, your foster family questionnaire. I find this fascinating. Some of the questions are, they talk about your childhood. Were you ever away from your caregiver? How many siblings do you have? How would you describe your relationship with your mother? How would you describe your relationship with your father? Tell you about the values that your parents instilled in you. Have you ever been abused? Then they ask, what was your early dating experience? And tell us about your early sexual experiences. The choices I find interesting are abstinent, which is mine, awkward, confusing, a lot of people's, fun, exciting, traumatic, frightening, which is sad, but my favorite is unremarkable. Were your early sexual experiences unremarkable? Which is what my girlfriend told me she would pick. She was like, basically all of my experiences, unremarkable. Then you talk about your relationship with your spouse, your role in their relationship. And some of the suggested roles they tell you are manager, planner, peacemaker, money manager. I'm all of those. How would you describe their personality? Nice, cold, affectionate, shy, etc. What do you argue about most? So this is not for the people who are faint of heart. And then, yeah, what's your relationship with your parents, your primary caregiver since you became an adult? How are you involved in the community? Describe your friendships. What things do you think you do well as foster parents? How do you think your family and friends will treat a foster kid in your home? Then do you smoke? Do you take medications? What are the areas you'd like to be trained in? And then you're going to actually talk through this with somebody, because somebody's going to write paragraphs. They're going to turn these questions into paragraphs from what I understand. So, oh, and then there's like a whole autobiography section, which is even more spaces. So the thing I just read you was more like a form with multiple choice questions and answers, right? Like this. And then there's paragraphs to write. So, that's the binder. This is what we got in week 1. This is what we'll be working on over the course of the next couple weeks. The other thing we learned in orientation was our experience after orientation. Basically, we thought, yeah, okay, this is what we thought. One of the things they kept highlighting in the orientation is that all of this information is required because you need to put yourself in the position of a birth parent whose child has been taken from their home. And if that happened with you, how would you feel? What would you want to know about the people who had your kids? You'd want to know that they'd had a background check. You'd want to know what their mental state is. You'd want to know that everything that could make your child unsafe is locked up in your house. You want to know they're going to feed your kid, that you want to know that they're going to be loving, that they want to do this out of a place of love and caring. So that's why it's an invasive process. I know you guys have kids you love. You would want them to be with somebody who described their relationship as warm and loving and not like, we're about to kill each other. So that's what we learned in orientation. Afterwards, we were like, we're good. That seems good. It wasn't anything we weren't expecting. It wasn't anything scary. It didn't scare us off. So we went back for week 2, and I'll talk about that in the next video.